Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Roasters Warm-Up Sessions. We're on episode 32. Just going at it, man. It's crazy. I feel like sometimes you when you're starting something new, it's like, oh, we'll never get there. It feels like forever, like the road long, but it's like one episode a week, almost. And then approaching our 50th episode, which is, I don't know what we're going to do for that, but
is that a milestone?
it's getting exciting.
50?
I think so. I don't know. Sounds like a milestone. 50 podcast episodes. I feel like it's a pretty rich lineup.
Got a little liquid there.
Dude, toss it in.
Toss it in.
That'll go well with the podcast topic. Just leave it, let it ferment, little yeast. No worries.
A little bacteria.
For those of you who are listening on to this podcast who don't ever watch the podcast, I just realized that you're probably like, okay, for 2-3 minutes there's just silence and sipping. Well, we're actually trying. We taste coffees that we made on the batch brewer, and we give our thoughts on it. So
Well,
it's cooled down actually a lot.
it's cooled down a lot, yeah.
Ridiculously a lot.
Didn't realize how long we've been chilling here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just silence. That's how I feel about the cup. It's quiet.
I don't think it doesn't taste like horribly over extracted or under extracted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in the right ballpark, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
What I'm getting is like a lot of florals, and florals kind of combined with either it's like that candy ginger or it's like that blackberry kind of. That's what I'm getting.
It's borderline, like there's not much going on. I don't know why. Maybe the coffee is just old. Been chilling in the office for a while.
It's true. Yeah, it's not a. That was actually like a bag I just packed for photos, to take photos of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not great. I'm not like super jazzed on it.
But I wouldn't say this is horribly bad.
No.
Like, I feel like after, and this might be the problem that I've been experiencing, after you've just tried so many good coffees, that it just becomes so normal to you.
Yeah.
And it just becomes, everything just begins to taste lackluster.
Yeah,
Like,
or the same. Yeah.
like I've been like, I just want like the wildest, most bonkers, like anaerobic, natural geisha. I don't know what. I just want something that's gonna like
Shock you.
like that. Remember that from Manhattan, that geisha
Coffee was so good.
that was just like, you're
So
like,
good.
what in the world?
Yeah.
I want that because I feel like either every brew that I've been making recently either just doesn't taste great, or it's like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that coffee that
good.
I bought, the super expensive one, like $50 for 150 grams. I didn't get a super satisfying brew with it the whole time.
Yeah.
I think I might have like 15 grams left for a small dose.
Unfortunately, that just reminds me of my Proud Mary coffee that I bought.
Oh, yeah.
Which the coffee at the cafe was just bonkers.
Yeah.
It was so tasty. And then I'm like, I just drank through that 100 grams and I couldn't get a decent brew out of it. Which is probably my fault. Like, I'm probably doing something wrong.
But, I mean, that raises just a ton of questions. Then you have to think, like, man, who's drinking the coffee? Imagine, like, if you're just a home barista, maybe don't have all the tools, maybe don't have, like, all the education, and you're just trying to buy pour over and you bought this because someone recommended it or something like that. Maybe that's such a very niche, like,
Yeah.
you know, person, but I'm still thinking that way because, like, what would their experience be with this coffee? Or maybe they would never buy it. I don't know. It just makes me think about who's drinking the coffee and what the demographic is. Cause
of course.
If we can't brew a good cup and we've been in the industry for a while, like, what does that mean for someone who's never professionally worked in coffee and who just has a minor knowledge of brewing? Would they just not buy it, or would they buy it and be even more disappointed?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's also like a lot of it's very subjective as well. Right. I mean, if you've always been brewing coffee the same way, I feel like your palate would adjust to how you're brewing.
Similar to water. Yeah.
Where it might not be the best way to brew it, but according to what they've been brewing, it'll be like, oh, this is way different. Yeah,
that's true. Because the coffee is still different no matter what.
Yeah, it's different. Right. Yeah. Which that honestly opens up a freaking can of worms. Yeah. Because if that's the case, like, I mean, something we've noticed is like, it's honestly my biggest fear that's always lingering at the back of my mind is realizing the fact that nobody is cupping our coffees with our water. Yeah. And that is just so scary. Like, and as a roaster, I've heard, like, for example, like Rob who's just said, like, you just give up control. Like, you can roast for specific cities and waters and whatever, but at the end of the day, you won't get it all. And you just roast to whatever you can roast, you know, like, but that's scary. Like, literally nobody might be experiencing our coffees the way we do with our water.
Right. Yeah. And regardless, like,
it's pretty crazy.
Not a lot of people are cupping coffees they buy. Yeah. So brewing is always going to be an element of surprise, or there's a margin of error there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Which actually, I think, like, for everybody listening, I would actually recommend you to pick up, like, if you just, like, have all your coffee gear and you're pretty satisfied with it, I would honestly say pay a little more and go pick up yourself, like, 1 or 2 cupping bowls. And that's it. You don't even need a spoon. You don't need anything. And just kind of delve into a little bit of cupping and cup all the coffees that you're buying.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that would be like a really great experience, like a learning experience purely, because that just gives you such a nice, unbiased, foundational framework that you can then say, oh man, my pour over or my brews are either better or worse.
Or worse.
And both ways will give you an extreme amount of great information and data to work with.
Yeah, that's a fun little tidbit right there.
Yeah. If you guys want to buy some Mirror branded cupping bowls, you can slide into our DMs. We have a couple extra ones. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so we had somebody on the YouTube channel comment and ask what your favorite Chance the Rapper album is.
Gosh, album. I mean, I'll be honest. The one I've listened to the most is Coloring Book, hands down.
That's a kind of a recent one. Yeah. The one right before the big day. The one that made him go viral.
The one that made him go big.
Gotcha.
But as I dove into Coloring Book, I started listening to acid rap and realized, like, how good it was and how different it is in Coloring Book. But I would say Coloring Book's the most memorable album in general. Like, favorite songs, it would probably be even outside of those 2 albums. It would be 65th and Ingleside, and maybe Wallacam, and those little singles that he released.
Yeah.
And then you definitely favorite Jam on acid rap. That's a good one. I don't know. And then the Kanye one on Coloring Book. He does a song with Kanye. It's his most...
On the Coloring Book?
Oh, yeah. It's his most played song.
What am I missing?
Oh, no. We've listened to that song a lot. Hold up. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold up. I'll look this up.
Checking
yeah.
Spotify.
All We Got. All We Got.
Oh.
Kanye West.
Dang.
Yep.
I don't remember Kanye in that song. That's strange. I need to go back and re-listen to
That's
that.
a great album. I mean, I remember like All Night with Knox Fortune, Smoke Break. Like, it's a good album in general. Just the whole album flows really, really well. I love Coloring Book. That's what got me into Chance. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I think the Coloring Book what got me into Chance as well. Honestly, this is unpopular opinion, and that's fine. But honestly, I like the Big Day, honestly, and the reason why I like it is for two reasons. Number one, in no particular order. Number one would be, I'm kind of into the skits.
Oh yeah,
I kind of think they're fun. Like I think they're a little more creative. I like something that's kind of a little out of the norm.
Yeah.
And number two, I think the sound of the album was like such a big throwback to like early 2000s hip hop. Hip hop, like the R&B, that kind of that era of music where they had like deep, rich like choirs, background vocals, like
for sure.
I don't know, that sound, like every time I listen to that, I'm just like instantly thrown back to those years, and
what I liked about that album was simply because it felt like a big party, which that was the whole point of the album.
Yeah, it did.
It because of all the features, all the skits.
Yeah.
I think almost every song is featured with someone.
Yeah.
I mean, including, I always forget that that's the song with Death Cab for Cutie.
That was random.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
what the
That's
heck?
what made.
Yeah.
I feel like that was one of the songs that made that album big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy that. I think, majority of Chance's music, regardless. So.
Yeah.
Even his little feature things, like there's oh man.
He just was featured on the song Right Now.
Yep.
And I've been bumping. Oh, there was. Yeah. I've been actually playing that like a lot recently. It's a great tune.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've only listened to like half of it.
I'm jiving with. There it is, right there. Winners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even Cross Me. I forgot that's Ed Sheeran's song.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just on a lot of tracks.
Yeah. That's dandy.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. But that being said, I also wanted to touch up on the small little poll that we had today on Instagram, which was fun. We did a little bit of like a little batch brew feature today on our Instagram, and I asked, "Do you even batchy?" A little annotation at the bottom just in case you don't know what batchy is. Batchy is batch brew, aka drip coffee. And I love that there was like so many people that went along with this poll. It was great. I wasn't even expecting that. So the two options were, do you even batchy? Option number one was all day, or number two, not really. And so we had 31 votes for all day, and then 25 votes for not really.
Gee, that's pretty close.
That's really
60,
close.
40? What was that? What's the percentage? Did it say?
Oh, I don't know.
Click share results really quick.
Oh, will they do that? Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't even know. Okay.
Yeah.
55% said
55,
all day, and
yeah.
45%.
45. It's even closer.
Not really. Yeah.
Man, you either love it or you hate it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I also think like I'm kind of shocked that it's so split down the middle.
Yeah.
Because as I've mentioned a little bit in the post, like I don't think that would have been the case like 5-6 years ago.
Maybe it depends on who you talk to.
Well, specifically this crowd of people.
Right.
I feel like batch brew just had like a bad rep. I remember at least
Mr. Coffee kind of bad rep.
At least
yeah.
for me, or even just like, I mean, I still feel like batch brews kind of get like the last hand in cafes, where it's usually like they'll throw like a blend on there, or they'll throw something like traditional or something, you
like
know,
second to cold brew.
Yeah. You know, like, and it's like, oh, if you want black coffee, you'll go and order a pour over.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But that's kind of where I'm coming from, where it's like, it's kind of like second class.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's also like so much change in technology. Like, I don't know. Have you had any coffee brewed with ground control?
No.
I haven't either.
I've yet.
But that's what I hear people rave on. I remember when Scott Rayo was at their booth over in SCA when they won like best piece of equipment of the year in 2018.
Interesting. I don't even know who has that, even on here in the West Coast.
I don't.
In the Pacific Northwest.
No.
I don't know if anybody has them.
I've only seen one in public, but I didn't have any coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's called technology is like such a major factor of that, because it's only getting better, and not only that, but coffee grinders are also getting. So I mean, it depends on who you ask. Like the EK is like an old legend that's been around for a long time, but yeah, like these coffee equipment, especially for home use, are just getting so good nowadays that you don't actually have to settle for like just basic batch brew, batch brew that's just good enough, or you know, like
caffeine.
So it's a secondary, where I think actually, like when you started dialing in batch brew at Makeworth, I liked it back when I was working for Primer, but when you started dialing in for batch brew at Makeworth, I was like, oh, like I actually don't mind drinking batch brew over pour overs,
right?
Because it can be that great.
Yeah.
Especially if you throw like a single origin, like something really tasty on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, once again, like dialing in, I remember first time having that experience where you get to access the recipe on the Curtis Brewers, being blown away. You're literally controlling the amount of pulses you do like you would in a pour over. And then you literally can control how high your water level goes by the amount of breaks you do in between each pulse. I mean, you have so much control in designing a recipe. Basically, you are controlling the amount of agitation you're doing, because if you do 9 pulses versus 7 pulses, there's less agitation. You know what I mean? There's so much control over that. And then on top of that, throw in buying Rayo's UFO spray head. Now you're controlling how the water is being dispersed. Way too much control, in the sense, like, I mean, not necessarily, but almost more control than you would have over like a pour over, because of all the automation. So yeah, I think there's a lot of great stuff in that. It's just a lot of people just kind of forget about batch brew.
Unfortunately.
Right.
I think it can slap.
Yeah.
I think it's about time that,
especially for cafe owners, I think cafe owners need to pay more attention to batch brew.
Oh, for sure.
That, I mean, for me, just witnessing that results in bag sales, because it's less intimidating for someone to try a very, very good coffee on a drip coffee maker or a batch brewer and enjoy that and feel more empowered and equipped to do that at home, rather than when you pull a tasty shot. You don't really think of like, oh, I'm going to reproduce that shot, because you look at this machine and it's like 20 grand. Yeah. Well, I probably can't come in it even close. But a batch brewer, no one really sees the batch brewer. They're just seeing it being dispensed out of a Cambro. And you don't think that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true.
But putting a super expensive, tasty coffee on batch, I feel like it results in more bag sales. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that
should be considered.
I didn't even think about that, but that makes 100% sense. That is just like so much more relatable, and for people, it's like, oh yeah, I can make a drip coffee at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not quite the same, but just knowing that that's like an approachable experience for somebody, which kind of ties back to our last episode, where it's like brewing at home is like a secondary experience where. Everybody's so acquainted with the batch brew, the drip coffee. But it can actually taste. It can actually
Yeah.
slap. Like, and that was actually the main point of the post today that I wanted to make was like, honestly, if you just want good black coffee at home, it might actually be better for you to buy a batch brewer, like the Breville, like the Ratio, like even the Bonavita that's extremely affordable, then try to make a pour over.
Yeah. I mean, we always swirl.
That's it.
You can do that even in a batch brewer if you wanted to. Like, you don't have to have it fully automated. You can add a few manual steps to make your cup tastier.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of to a degree defeats the purpose of a batch brewer if you have to stand by it and like wait that 2 minutes and give it a swirl. But if you want like almost like pour over style of coffee and you're willing to put in the extra work, you can do that on a batch brewer.
Yeah.
With eliminating all those other elements like flow rate, like heating up the water in a kettle, like steady pouring. You can eliminate some elements and still add more manual elements to the brew.
Yeah, if you want.
But you
really,
don't have to.
Yeah, but really it's like also like the margin of error on the pour over. The things that could go wrong potentially
too,
it's just hard to be consistent where, for example, like the Bonavita, at home, it's like it's gonna do the same thing every single time. The only thing that you have to change is grind size. That's it.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just so solid. You mentioned the Rayo spray head. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah.
Give us a little rundown. What is it?
Well, it's the Curtis spray head is a little bigger. It looks like a mellow drip kind of, but it's like a rain head. So it sprays water more of in a downward shape. Mm-hmm. So the water is just sprinkling like a shower head, basic shower head. It doesn't produce enough agitation. Mm-hmm. So it basically you're missing out on some partial extraction there. Mm-hmm. With Rayo spray head, it's smaller and is shaped like a UFO. It's like a triangle kind of, I don't know, round thing, like in triangular shape. I can't describe it. It's like for those of you listening, but you can probably look it up. So it's shaped like a flying saucer. But what it does when the
flying saucer.
I mean, maybe all of them. Now I'm confusing everybody. Sorry. It's called a UFO. So it must resemble something of the UFO.
Right.
Okay. But what it does is it actually sprays water out wider at an angle. So the whole bed is actually getting agitation and the water is hitting it much more evenly rather than some dry spots. I think a lot of the times even on my Ratio at home, like other brewers, you'll pull out the basket and look at the bed and you'll see the holes. And that's because of where majority of the water is hitting. The Rayo spray head covers majority of the basket. More of the basket.
Okay, I see.
And then at the way it pours, it's a little harder of a spray. Gotcha. Yeah, so there's more agitation.
A little bit more pressure in there.
Yeah. So it does amazing. Like, and with that, when you buy it, you also get a recommended recipe on where to start. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a starting ground, and then you kind of adjust depending on your coffee, depending on your water, all of the good stuff. So. Highly recommend it. It's a good investment. Don't remember how much it was. It was like $60.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what was like the biggest difference that you noticed? Because you guys got it like 7 months into the start of Makeworth.
Yeah. Flavor wise, definitely like coffees became way brighter. Like sometimes I think on the other spray head, coffees still had the flavors, but they were either dull or lack of clarity. They were kind of more dull and more had not a very clean aftertaste, especially in the aftertaste. These coffees are much more defined, brighter. That would be the big thing. Like acidity shines much more. Sweetness is like just the definition of everything changed. So your sweetness tastes like it's magnified, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So way more definition in the brew, for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's pretty excellent. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah.
I guess, so might as well Might as
Yeah.
well
It also
keep it.
allows you to basically grind coarser, and the basics like in percolation is that if you grind coarser, the flow rate is quicker, so water moves through your bed a little quicker. But it also allows you to reduce the amount of channels you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because fine grind size, you are basically creating more surface area, which in a sense you're going to extract more because the pieces are smaller. But the risk is channeling, because if water is sitting, it's always looking for the path of least resistance. And in a batch brew, especially when the bed is so thick, water has to keep moving so it doesn't, wiggle in and find that path.
And that's challenging, I think, with batch brews.
Yeah.
Where it's like most of the time you do get those major divots where the water just like runs straight through.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So, and every single batch brew, I assess the bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and make changes. Majority of the time, I make grind changes based on what the bed looks like.
You want the most mountainous bed.
Dude, totally. I want high and dry spots.
You want a good little half pipe in there, just like a little.
If it's not surfable, I don't want it.
If it's on a 10-footer, I'll pass, dude.
It's
I'll
a
pass.
double overhead.
Going back to the beach. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Sweet. Well, that's going to be a wrap for the episode. We just want to talk and kind of chat about whatever came to mind. We actually had other things that we wanted to talk about, but
I know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Time flew by. So thank you so much for listening. And hopefully, little, if you made it this far, we have a new coffee dropping.
Oh, yeah.
Check it out. Probably should have said that like 20 minutes ago. But yeah, cool. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.